students, in today's session we will see a few of the remaining concepts from third unit and then we will try to solve the problems. Okay, so today let's understand first concept as a deformation. You know, deformation is usually occurred in any member or object which experience force upon it, right? If you take even our the body parts, if I apply a force, body shows certain movement, deformation or deflection, but it respond, right? According to same, our structures when applied with or experience certain forces upon it, they experience exertion or pressure or point load, concentrated load, uniformly distributed load, any kind of exertion or force system. Body respond to it, body react to it in the form of deformation. But when does exactly deformation occurs, how it occurs, that is a different part that we understand with the each and every lesson. That when we solved undeterminate structures, in the indeterminate structures we solved cantilever beam, continuous beam, and third one is your propped cantilever or fixed end beam, right? So in those we understood that our structure when gets indeterminate, it experiences certain system of forces, then it gives response in a form of deformation either or deflection, or it rotates, it translates. Out of that we are taking the deformation, and then deformation is a basic wide domain in under which we can see translation kind of deformation or rotation or deflection. These are the different categories of deformation. We are gonna understand that later. So let's see what I had right here. Structural deformation is due to the stresses and strain developed in the structure when it is subjected to the forces or other disturbances. Now, stress and strain. Stress and strain, these are the symbols of stress and strain. In the most subject, in the mechanics of structure, you have understood what is stress. Stress is the internal resisting force per unit area, and strain is change in a dimension per unit original dimension. So change in dimension, internal resisting force is how our structure is responding to the applied forces, right? Then when such a stress and strain develop in your structure, it is subjected to the force. It means that our structure is subjected to force or experiencing force, and that time the deformation occurs. When the system of forces is applied, stress and strain developed in your structure, response will be in the form of deformation, structural deformation. Now they said only flexural deformation is considered and shear and axial deformation is neglected. What is shear and axial deformation is, and what is flexural deformation? Now see, in your beam, this is your beam, and I said it is deflected, it will bend like this, right? Then in this, if I said only flexural deformation is considered, means the deflection in your beam. We will take an example of beam. Let's take like this is your beam, it is deflected like this, right? And deflection shows that the upper fibers of your beam, one more time I will draw it. This is your beam and this is how it deflects. This is how it deflects, right? Then the compression, all the fibers are in the compression, top fibers. This is your beam. This I have representing it with the line, but your beam exactly looks like this, right? So all the top fibers of your beam is in compression, whereas all the bottom fibers are in tension, right? So this type of a behavior where the of same member, the few fibers in compression, few are in the tension, that time that type of a structure or that type of behavior is called as the flexural behavior. And the shear and axial deformation, that is neglected. Why it is neglected? What is shear and what is axial forces? Now in the trusses we have solved the we have analyzed the trusses, and in the trusses we understood the member may be in the tension or maybe always in the compression. Member cannot be in a flexure in the trusses because we have joined pin trusses. We have solved pin trusses, right? So member forces always in the compression or in the tension. This type of behavior is shown. This type of behavior is shown by what? Pin jointed truss members. Now that pin jointed truss members, in the analysis part I have told you, those are under the axial behavior. What axial behavior? The axis of force is passing through the axis of your member. The force is passing through the axis of your member. That time body will either get deformed in tension or get compressed, right? That is what we call deformation. That is what specific kind of a deformation which is called as an axial deformation. Next is your shear deformation. Shear deformation is when occurs, let's suppose we have two plates like this which are connected. This is the second plate at the bottom. Okay, now we have connected these two plates with the bolt. Now upper plate is experiencing tension, lower also experiencing tension, but the directions are opposite. That time what my bolt is experiencing? Tension from top side, equal and opposite reactions. Couple is acting at that point, right? Then the body is under the shear behavior. But in the deformation, what we when we deal with the analysis or in the structural analysis, which forces are which deformation is neglected? Axial and shear deformation is neglected. Only the flexural deformation is considered. Next is translation. Now as I said, the deformation is of variety of a type. It is shear. It is, first of all, shear force is different, and deforming our object into shear is a response. Okay, shear force is a force which is acting equal and opposite in a direction, and body is bent like this. Okay, this is my basically a rod, but equal and opposite forces are experienced by it, and that's why how it will bend like this. It will bend here like this and here like this. So this type of a bending pattern is due to the shear force applied. Now we are trying to understand axial forces. Axial forces में क्या होता है? This is my rod. You have applied the forces like this. My member will show deformation like this. This you have seen in the necking forms. Where you have seen this? In the tension test of mild steel. You have seen, first of all, necking occurs and then ball and cup failure you can see there, right? Axial deformation or axial forces. Tension is axial force, deformation pattern is in front of you. Shear is a kind of a force, equal and opposite force, and deformation will be a pattern of two bends, right? Then third one is we have seen flexural. Flexural is a beam, simply supported beam, bending like this, right? So the force system is applied, accordingly deformation occurs, right? Now we are trying to understand translation. Translation is a linear displacement in horizontal and vertical direction. What it is? Linear displacement. Linearly my object is traveling or displacing. That is what called linear displacement. It is either in the vertical direction or it may be in the horizontal direction. That is what called a translation. Rotation is what? Angle between the tangent to the elastic curve that at that point and line of original member. See, I have a simply supported beam like this. It deflects like this, which is called as an elastic curve. This line is called elastic curve, and elastic curve shows the deflected behavior of your beam. Now I have drawn a tangent to it, right? And this tangent with the original, the tangent I have drawn here and the original member, in between that we can see one angle, that is theta. That is what called developed. That theta is developed due to what? Rotation occurs at support. What rotation occurs at support is shown by the angle theta, and angle theta is what? Slope we called it. Okay, then forces we are talking about. We have seen deformation, then we've seen what is translation. Deformation is of three different types: axial deformation, shear deformation, and flexural deformation. These three force system causes three type of deformation. Then we have seen translation and rotation. Translation means what? Vertical and horizontal linear displacement of an object. Rotation means what? The angle made by your deflected shape elastic curve, tangent to the elastic curve to the original member, the angle between that is representing rotation. Now forces. Forces can be a translation, translation at the same point and in the same direction of the force. Moment, rotation at the same point and in the same direction of the moment. When force is applied, translation occurs. When moment is applied, rotation occurs. What I am saying, please pay attention to it. When rotation occurs, when you apply a force. Let's suppose you have a hinge support. Hinge support will show vertical and horizontal forces. Hinge support will show vertical and horizontal forces in it, right? This vertical and horizontal forces is causing a linear displacement in horizontal and vertical direction. That means the force causes horizontal and linear displacement. It means force is causing translation in my system. Whereas moment, if I am applying a moment at if I provided a fixed joint, what causes movement? Fixed joint restrict the rotation. That's why movement develops. But when movement develops, now you cannot relate directly a fixed joint with the movement you have applied. No, moment develops. There you restrict the rotation. Let's take it like this. Force causes translation. Movement causes rotation. Simply when you rotate, see here, this is my frame, it has a joint here, and when you rotate it, it will show certain response to it will be a rotation at that same point in the direction of movement. Okay, so force causes translation, movement causes rotation. Now we are moving towards our core part, towards our lesson where we gonna apply the slope deflection method. Now what is slope deflection method? Slope deflection method is a displacement stiffness method. Displacement oblique stiffness method. Now what is this displacement method? What is stiffness method? That we have to understand. Displacement method. Primary unknown in the displacement method is displacement. Type of indeterminacy is kinematic. Governing equation is equilibrium equation. Force displacement rotation relation, and that is said as a matrix method. So I have wrote few primary points here. Very key points I have added here. Basically, whenever you do analysis will be with the displacement method analysis or force method analysis. Okay, when I say displacement method analysis, when the unknown in my analysis is displacement. First of all, simple displacement method, unknown will be displacement. Second is, if my unknown is displacement, type of indeterminacy the structure show is a kinematic indeterminacy. And which equations are used or governing here are the equilibrium equations and force distance relationship, which is represented by stiffness matrix. What the stiffness matrix is and how the force displacement relationship is shown, and what is kinematic. Now only the new term is this much, force displacement relationship. Otherwise, what is displacement, what is indeterminacy, what is kinematic indeterminacy, what is equilibrium equation, this whole part is already covered in the second year. From the second year, in the even in the mechanics subject, you have a kinematic indeterminacy, and what is kinematic, what is static, you have understood from that. So only new thing here you can see in the displacement method is what is the force displacement relationship and what does the stiffness matrix means to us. Keep it now aside. In the next sessions, in the next units, we're gonna handle the stiffness matrix method. There you will get a better idea and how to write the force displacement relationships, right? Now we will move towards next part where I am trying to understand you force method. Now what I said, analysis is of two types, either the displacement method or the force method. I have said slope deflection is a displacement method. Okay, what I said, slope deflection is displacement method. Primary unknown will be displacement. The static indeterminacy will be of kinematic indeterminacy, right? And governing equations will be equilibrium equations. Next is force method. Now what is the difference from force and displacement method? Primary unknown is force. Okay, we understood. Displacement method, primary unknown displacement. Force method, primary unknown force. Now type of indeterminacy. Indeterminacy can be of static indeterminacy, right? And governing equation is compatibility equations. It means that only the equilibrium equations are not suitable, not applicable to solve the all unknowns or to find the all unknowns in your system. Then next is force displacement relationships. But here the matrix changes. What matrix we are using? Flexibility matrix. Earlier what method we are using? Force displacement, but matrix was stiffness matrix. In the force method we are using flexibility matrix. So here only the things which you have to take away is analysis is of two types, force method, displacement method. In the displacement method, primary unknown is displacement, kinematic indeterminacy and equilibrium equations are governing. In the force method, primary unknown is force method, static indeterminacy, governing equations are compatibility equations, and we use a flexibility matrix here. In the earlier displacement state, we use stiffness matrix. Now we are trying to understand what is slope, what is deflection. Okay. In the slope and deflection method, we have to first of all understand that what does slope means or slope stands for and what does deflection stands for. Before going for defining these terms, I want to revise or I want to take a look of a concepts we have already learned. First, in the last classes, we have understood that what is slope deflection method, and then we understood that how the deflection forms in your structure, what is rigid joint means to here, what type of frames we are going to deal with. Then we have seen what are the different types of support systems are available, roller supports, hinge support, cantilever support. We understood that part. Then we seen in the today's session, so far we have understood what is deformation, what are the different types of deformation, then what is the force method of analysis, what is displacement method of analysis, right? Now today let's understand deflection of a beam, and then we will see what type of slopes are developed into our structures. Deflection of a beam. Deflection of a beam at any point is defined as the vertical distance between axis of beam before and after loading at that point. before loading and after loading. After loading, what will happen? Deformation will take place. If the deformation is taking place, elastic curve will help us to show the deformation, and the vertical distance between original or before loading member and after loading member, that vertical distance is called as a deformation in my beams, right? It is denoted by y or delta, or also some people use triangular shape. SI unit, of course it is a vertical distance. If I said distance will be in a mm, centimeter or meter, but as you know, the very small deflection is allowed in a structure, therefore unit has restricted to mm. Then next is slope of a beam. Slope at any point is defined as an angle in radian between the tangent to the elastic curve. Now see, slope I already explained you. This is let's suppose this is your simply supported beam. It bends like this. I have drawn the tangent to it. Angle between the original member to the tangent of your deformed elastic curve. That angle represents the theta. Note, the unit of that angle is in radian, and the slope is represented by that angle. Okay, that is what called as a slope. Now we are trying to understand the SD equations or slope deflection equations. See, in the slope deflection equation, first of all we will try to understand how to develop the slope deflection equation. Then we will understand how to calculate the fixed end moments, what is the concept of fixed end moments, and then later we will try to solve the problems. So what is SD equations? Any method when we apply, it's certainly based upon a few steps. Also any theory, just like how the every theory has is based upon the assumptions. Every method which we have applied must have a formula or a formula or a equations to solve. So here SD method, slope deflection method, is based upon the equations, few equations that we wanna understand first of all how those have developed, and then later we will apply those equations to find the slope and deflection in your structure. Can you see here a beam I have drawn with the fixed ends? I have drawn the beam with fixed end, and it has a uniformly distributed load upon it from the top of this or from the top of that beam, and as well as from the bottom of that beam. See, a certain uniformly distributed load is acting from the downward side, acting upward in direction, from the top side acting in downward direction. Right, now in this we want to develop a slope deflection equation. Basically, slope deflection equations are nothing but writing the moments developed at each of the joints in the member. Basically, what type of deflection or deformation is taking place, making the equation of it is nothing but your slope deflection equation. See here, now we have understood, if we apply the force, body will either rotate or translate. Translation means what? Horizontal and linear displacement in horizontal and vertical direction. Whereas rotation means what? Angle of deformation at that point. So taking care of this linear and horizontal displacement and rotation taking place in your beam is what slope deflection equation is. See here, in this beam I have shown fixed ends, and therefore definitely a moment develops. Now be careful, I have taken the moments in anti-clockwise direction. At both of the ends I have considered my moment in the anti-clockwise direction. Now these moments are there, but certain changes I have made. What I did is releasing one end for rotation or translation and restricting other end. Simultaneously we will do this through in our beam and try to figure out the movements taking place in our member. I have restrained this end here and I have released this end. Point A or support A is released. There I have provided the hinge support. You can see there I have provided the hinge support, and due to this what happens? A moment rotate, this moment which is at A is try to rotate your section like this or member like this, but at other end it is fixed, so fixed end will not allow any movement. Therefore, though the rotation takes place at A where we have released the restrictions upon it, but at B all the restrictions are there, therefore no movement is takes place, or no rotation takes place, no rotation takes place at B end. Therefore MAB is equals to 4. Now what moment takes place here is 4EI by L, and at BA it will be 2EI by L. Understood? Into this occurs at A, therefore theta A, here theta B. Similarly, I have released B point, B joint here, and moment rotation takes place at that point, but at B there will not be any rotation, and movement takes place at MBA is 4EI by L into theta A, sorry theta B, and for here 2EI by L theta A, right? That is the moment. Now I am releasing my object, or my member for translation. Earlier I have released it for movement or rotation. Now I am releasing it for translation. Okay, if I want to show a translation, what I will do? I have arranged the system of support like this. I have provided a rollers at that point. I have provided rollers at that point where other end is restricted and kept fixed. The moment at that point due to this change in the support system will give us 6EI by L square and 6EI by L square both at MAB and MBA. Now I have shifted my rollers to the other end, B end, and I have checked the moments. Moment at both of the ends will be negative 6EI by L and 6EI by L. So releasing for rotation one end and restricting other, then releasing the other end and restricting the one for translation, and equally for rotation gave us few moment values. That moments adding up because moment or whenever we are writing the generalized equation, we will see take care of all the kind of moments taking place in my object and in my member, and that's why movement in member AB will be fixed end moment AB. Forget about it this point right now. Just take M1 AB, M2 AB, M3 AB, M4 AB. What is this M1, M2? The moment developed due to first releasing at A and fixing at B is moment 1 AB. While releasing at B and fixing at A will gives us moment second AB. Whereas we have released at B, for translation and fixed at B, that will give moment 3. And then lastly what we did, releasing at B, whereas fixing at A will develop certain moment, and those moments will be M4 AB, and adding up those all movements for AB and BA, for AB and secondly for BA. This will be for BA. Wait a minute. Yes. For AB and for BA. While adding, just a new term occurs is fixed end moment. Fixed end moment is what that we will understand while solving the problems. Right now just keep this equation in your mind where we are applying. What we are doing here, we are applying or we are summing up all the moments, moment 1 AB, moment second, moment third, and moment fourth, right? So adding up those all moments gives me an equation MAB and MBA. Let's try to solve one question based upon this problem. A beam is fixed at A and at D and continues over a support B and C as shown in figure. Fixed at A and D, continuous over support B and C. Analyze the beam using slope deflection method. Okay, we supposed to analyze this beam with the slope deflection method. To apply this method, first of all we have to write down the fixed end moments. Fixed end moments means what? See here. I have this continuous beam. Wait a minute, straight line I will draw. I have this continuous beam supported by two supports in between, B and C, intermediate supports, and end supports A and D. I can call it as a continuous beam. In this, I am taking the part of it out. I will consider AB span first, then BC span, and then CD span. In the span AB, you can apply a 20 kilonewton per meter force, 20 kilonewton, which is already given in your problem. In this, if you applied fixed ends at both the ends. Now I have taken the only part AB. First A end is fixed, but I am assuming that I have applied both the ends, or I have applied fixed ends at A and B support. Then by looking at this beam, I will try to write down fixed end moment from AB and fixed end moment from BA. Fixed end moment for AB will be WL square by 12, and from BA is minus WL square by 12. Now you must be thinking, why am I directly writing WL square by 12? That is the standard formula if the uniformly distributed load is applied in your beam. Now how to analyze it? Why? Take an example of this. Take a rough sheet with you. You know how to calculate the moments. Take first of all A support, draw the FBD. I will say draw the free body diagram of this given beam. Release the fixed ends, apply the reactions at that point, apply the uniformly distributed load of W kilonewton. How? A, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 and 3. This is how 6 reactions applied at two ends. Then you have a uniformly distributed load upon it of a W and span consider L, and try to analyze the moments in this beam. Now you will say, ma'am, with we have only 3 equilibrium equations. Definitely we have a 3 equilibrium equation, and fixed end beams becomes the indeterminate beam. You can choose to go with the unit number 1, where we have understood how to analyze the such a fixed end beams, and try to find moment at A and moment at B. You will definitely find a formula, standard formula, which is for uniformly distributed load of W kilonewton when such a beam is fixed at end with the L span. You will formulate it as WL square by 12. Moment MAB will be WL square by 12. Moment BA will be minus WL square by 12. Right? So next formula is for a concentrated load. If my beam is considered fixed at end and a concentrated load is acting exactly at the center of my beam, then my system will write moment here B and C na. So moment BC will be equals to WL by 8. That is the moment which we write for B to C. From C to A, C to B, if you write, it will get turned into the negative sign. Okay. So similarly, when different loadings has applied and ends are fixed, then how to analyze the moment? What are the standard formulas for it? That you have to read or keep into your mind, and here you directly apply those formulas. So see here, you can see first of all in the first span what we have. In the first span we have UDL, so I have applied WL square by 12. My value is 135 kilonewton meter. In the last span I have uniformly distributed load. Again I have applied same formula, standard formula, which is WL square by 12. While writing the moments, I have said moment fixed end moment AB. M suffix F stands for fixed end moment for member AB, which is equals to minus fixed end moment from BA. This is BA actually. Okay, make a change in your notebook as well. So MFAB is equals to minus MFBA, which is WL square by 12. 20. W will be what? 20. L will be what? 9. Put the values, calculate it, you will get 135 kilonewton per meter. Next is MFBC. Here in this man you have center load of 80 kilonewton. Therefore, force the moment MFBC and minus MFCB will be equals to WL square by 8. Accordingly, I have calculated fixed end moments. Now calculating slope deflection equations. In this, you have to check the earlier equations I have taught. What was the equation? 4EI by L. For MAB we have wrote 4EI by L into theta A. Then 4 plus twice of EI by L into theta B. So writing this equation, you should not mug up it. Keep a logic. What is the logic here? If I am writing for the moment AB, 4EI by L theta A, 2EI by L theta B, plus and minus 6EI by L square delta, and first thing is moment, fixed end moment AB, because we are writing moment for MAB. Put the values in it. Putting values means what? Checking the I values, L values and W values. Here my I values are different. 4EI by L, 2 by 3I. Here I have 4 by 3I. So my I, moment of inertia for a given beam, is changing from span to span. Therefore, I have to take care of that, as well as my length is changing from span to span. 9 meter, 6 meter, 8 meter. But as we writing for only span AB, where I am writing moment AB, you should take 4E into I will be 4 by 3I, divide by L is 9 into theta A, plus 2E 4 by 3I divide by 9 meter into theta B. Now what about delta term? Delta term is for translation. Right now I am solving the problems. Please pay attention to this. Right now I am solving the problems for what? Only for the beams which has zero translation. I am solving it for the beams with rotation, beams without translation. If the beams without translation, therefore delta value becomes 0. Okay. One more point I have to tell you, that at fixed end, do we allow to rotate that point? Due to the fixed end, we restrict the rotation at that place. And if I have restricted the rotation at that place, you should take care of it like this. See, this value becomes 0. You can see here, because we have solving the beam without translation. Delta represent translation. Translation is not occurred in the beam. Therefore, directly that terms become 0. MFAB we have calculated, that is 135 for span AB, fixed end moment for span AB. Later I have added all the values in the given sum, but again for this term I have wrote 0. Why I have cancelled that and write 0? Because at fixed end theta A will not be developed because it is fixed. and this is your A end, this is your B support, but at A support, as the boundary condition is fixed, therefore rotation will not develop, and therefore my equation for moment AB becomes 0.29 EI theta B plus 135, right? Now I am writing the equation for moment BA, moment B to A. From B to A, very first change will be, for B to A, my moment, fixed end moments will have a sign negative. Either you can write it positive and directly put the value from earlier calculation. You can directly write for my minus, this is BA actually, BA, and value for it will be 135 minus 135, right? This became minus 135, theta A cancelled 0, 6 EI delta by L square, that is also going to cancel 0 because no translation occurs in my beam. Theta A will be into theta A will be 0, right? Now why theta A is 0? Again I have told theta A is occurring at the point of fixed end. Does the fixed end allow rotation? No. Will the theta A will develop? No. That's why these two terms got cancelled and my equation remains with the 0.59 EI theta B minus 135. Next is next span. In the next span, what you have? Both the ends are simply supported, and this is my B, this is my C. 4 EI by L, where I is changing in B to C span, 2 by 3rd I. Put the values of I, whereas delta will become 0 because no translation is allowed. Put the values of MF, BC. Now here, no theta will get cancelled because theta B is at simple support, theta C is also at simple support, so no theta will get cancelled. Remember it. Accordingly, write the equation for BC. For equation BC only changes that, for equation CB only changes that negative 60. Accordingly, write the equation for MCD. In the equation of MCD, you have to take care of what? See here. My MCD is, I am writing for last end, this is my C, this is my D. For this span, I was I only, I has no different value, therefore I remains as it is, no translation, therefore this value becomes 0. Fixed end moment, which we have already calculated, has a value 60, but D support is a fixed support, so no rotation will occur at D support, therefore whatever values come with the D theta get cancelled from my equation. This is how we have developed 6 equations: moment AB, BA, moment BC, CB, moment CD, DC. That's how we have developed the 6 equation. Now I am writing a moment equilibrium of a joint. What is it? See here. This is my continuous beam. Both ends are fixed. Only the intermediate ends have simple supports, and at this B support and C support I am writing the moment equilibrium equation. What this moment equilibrium equation says, if I cut at that point, what moment develops in BA span is equals to what moment develops in BC span. Okay, if I add these two moments, the moment equilibrium says that has to be equals to 0. That has to be equals to 0, right? And therefore, I have taken moment, see here, this was my beam. At intermediate support, I have wrote two equation. Moment at B will be moment BA plus moment BC is equals to 0, as well as at C. At C, moment CB is equals to moment CB is equals to moment CD. If you add that, it is equals to 0. Now what am I going to do? I'm gonna add the equation of MBA and MBC, which earlier we have developed. MBC I have with us, moment BA I have with me. Understood? So I am gonna add this equation into final equation of moment BA and BC in the moment equilibrium of joint.